Columbo has no arch nemesis, no Moriarty, no Siegfried, no Skeletor. He has no recurring adversaries. Murderers are caught and away they go, never to be seen again. But close your eyes for just a moment and imagine the definitive Columbo foe. Chances are, it's this guy. Today on Echoes of Columbo, we gaze into the three faces of Jack Cassidy. To many, he is the murderer, diametrically opposite the lieutenant in every way. He's the arrogance to Columbo's humility, the nastiness to his kindness, the vanity to his modest self-effacement. Cassidy appeared as a killer 3 times, a record he would share with Robert Culp until Patrick McGoohan broke it in 1998. In the 1971 series debut, Murder by the Book, he plays Ken Franklin, an author whose more talented partner, James Ferris, wants to break up the team.
To do some serious writing.
Franklin kills Ferris for the insurance money, then offs a blackmailing witness. In 1974's Publish or Perish, Cassidy is Riley Greenleaf, a sleazy smut publisher whose star author, Alan Mallory, wants to leave the company.
To do some serious writing.
Greenleaf hires psycho Eddie Kane to kill Mallory, then he kills Kane. And he's the great Santini in 1976's Now You See Him, who murders blackmailing club owner Jesse Jerome. None of the other recurring murderers quite match Cassidy's gold standard of villainy. He headlines the first regular episode, just edging out Robert Culp. And while Culp's outings were over by season 3, Cassidy encompasses seasons 1 through 5, the heyday of the 70s era. He also out-mustaches Culp 2-1. And unlike repeaters Patrick McGoohan, George Hamilton, and William Shatner, he's exclusively linked with the 70s episodes, the classic Columbo for many fans. He also stands out from the pack because of his consistency. When you watch a Jack Cassidy episode, you know exactly what you're going to get. There's a world of difference between Colonel Rumford and Eric Prince, not so much between Ken Franklin and the great Santini. I don't mean just the acting, although there's a bit of similarity in his performances.
Columbo! Lieutenant Columbo.
No, I mean the deeper stuff. Like, for instance, we already noted that money is the motive for all his crimes, but note how Cassidy's murders are all already in motion when he's introduced. Ken Franklin is arriving at the office to abduct and murder James Ferris. Riley Greenleaf is arranging the murder of Alan Mallory with Eddie Kane, and the great Santini is preparing the gun he uses to kill Jesse Jerome. Note how it's always a revolver, and how we see Franklin and Santini's guns before we even see their faces. They certainly all love booze. It's central to Greenleaf's alibi. Franklin imbibes through the entire episode, and Santini extends maybe the best drinking invitation in the entire series.
I'll tell you what, one night, George, just you and I together, we'll go out and have a couple of jars.
Your answer.
The similarities even extend to their tastes in fashion. The houndstooth coat Greenleaf dons for his final scenes looks suspiciously similar to the one Franklin wears on his date with Miss Lysanka. And that ascot, could it be the same one worn by the great Santini? The very 70s combination of blazer and turtleneck is one favored by all 3 characters. Both Franklin and Greenleaf are introduced as they arrive in distinctive blue-gray cars. We can keep going deeper. Murder by the Book plays up the importance of Ken Franklin's distinctive gold lighter.
Do you need it?
That's my security blanket.
What appears to be the same lighter turns up again with Greenleaf, and again with Santini. Of course, this means all 3 characters are smokers. Speaking of gold, see Ken Franklin's pinky ring? Riley Greenleaf has got the same ring on the same hand, and so has Santini. The similarities extend even to particular plot details, almost as though each episode is a conscious echo or reimagining of the ones that came before.
Did you ever get a feeling of deja vu?
All 3 feature final clues that involve writing, James Ferris's plot idea, Alan Mallory's book ending, and what Jesse Jerome was typing. Or how about the way Greenleaf shows up at his second murder with champagne, just like Franklin did before him? Or how Franklin arrived at the final showdown on an elevator to find policemen waiting for him in a hallway, just as Greenleaf did. There's also a cop waiting for Santini in his final scene.
Like you've done something before, but you know you haven't.
Franklin and Santini both love irony.
No, that's the irony of it.
And the irony is the worst.
I mean, they really love it.
You want to know the irony of all of this?
Ironically, it happened during the course of my act.
That is ironic, isn't it?
Yes.
Both author and magician try to stage their crimes as mob hits, even using the same wording.
This is a professional killing.
Professional killing?
Both episodes also involve clues in the form of folded up pieces of paper. Joanna Ferris mentions how Jim and Ken first met.
They met in a typewriter shop of all places. Jim had broken a key and Ken needed a
In his guise as the Great Santini, Cassidy is brought down by crucial evidence contained on a typewriter ribbon.
Maybe in a previous incarnation, huh?
Finally, and most eerily, is the way that Cassidy's appearances are bookended, as though now you see him as a conscious farewell. The last scene of Murder by the Book is a slow, deliberate zoom on the grinning visage of fictional sleuth Mrs. Melville. The final shot of Now You See Him is a similar zoom toward the grinning Santini himself. Tragically, Cassidy died shortly after when his cigarette ignited the couch he was drowsing on, just as the Peanuts gang predicted a decade earlier. The great joy of any Cassidy episode is the Columbo killer interaction. He and Peter Falk have irresistible chemistry, and for all his condescension and ruthlessness, Columbo is never particularly hostile to him. If anything, he seems to enjoy their confrontations. If Columbo is Batman, Cassidy is certainly his Joker. A grinning rogue who returns again and again with different names, different origins, different interpretations. Cassidy's such a delightful scoundrel that we can never hate him either. For all three killers, villainy is simply in their nature. They're consistently portrayed as almost the devil himself, lit by hellish reds, wreathed in smoke and flame, juxtaposed with Mephistophelian artwork. All Columbo cases stand on their own, but the Cassidy episodes almost benefit from back-to-back viewings. The more I watched them, the more I realized how good they are. Script, direction, clues, supporting players, there isn't a misfire in the bunch. His shows remain the gold standard, the perfect ones to pick if you're introducing a new fan to Columbo. Before researching this video, I was in Camp Culp. Now, I'm thinking about switching my allegiance. Even ranking these is tough, but if I had to, I'd put them 1, 2, 3. One wonders whether Cassidy would have gone on to appear in the revival shows had he lived. Would he have followed in Robert Culp's footsteps with a non-murderous role, or emulated McGoohan, Shatner, and Hamilton by killing again? His skills as a con man and magician would have made him a perfect Elliot Blake in Columbo Goes to the Guillotine. For a less lethal role, I'd have loved to see this longtime Columbo enemy become an ally for once. Maybe as the dentist who helped the lieutenant nab his son-in-law in Uneasy Lies the Crown. Columbo matched wits with multiple Oscar and Emmy winners, with Bond villains, and with cultural heroes. But it's Jack, an actor today's audiences probably know best from Columbo, that outdoes them all. I think that's an irony the man himself would have appreciated.
Oh, I'm beginning to like you.
Why is that?
Because you're finally beginning to think like Mrs. Melville.